Hi, this is Dominic Pace, who plays Gecko the Bounty Hunter from The Mandalorian, and you are listening to What a Piece of Junk Podcast.
Hello, Space Junkies, and welcome to What a Piece of Junk, the Star Wars podcast here on the Fandom Podcast Network. We are your source for Star Wars information, news, rumors, and all kinds of things dealing with the original Star Wars trilogy, the prequels, Legends canon, Disney's acquisition of Star Wars and all of its products, and of course, all the fan favorite content out there. We have got you covered. So please make sure to stop on over at your local cantina, grab a drink, cozy up to your favorite alien or droid, and get ready to talk some Star Wars. With me this week, as always, is my original Wookiee co-pilot, Gooey Chewy, our very own Dave Filoni, man of 1,000 nicknames. It's Nathan Miracle. Nathan, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. Can't complain. Had a pretty good week this week. Star Wars Squadrons released. Very excited about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later today. I was able to pick up some Star Wars Legion product as well. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well.
Excellent. And making his way back from the sick bay this week is Derrick Marsh, our other co-captain. Derrick, welcome back to the show. How's it going?
Thanks, guys. I could tell you, man, that Bacta tank, man, Mark Hamill's a small guy, so it made it look big, but I'm 6'4", and I'm telling you, I was cramped in that thing, trying to feel better. It just seems like September's been the sick month for myself, as well as the Marsh family. Started off with, having to go to the hospital, the ER, which ended up just being strep throat, but, I was running 105 temperature and all that fun stuff.
Strep throat is bad enough. Yeesh.
Yeah, but I was basically showing every sign for COVID, but luckily it wasn't that. Tested negative and had that. Then the next weekend after I started feeling better, got sick with food poisoning. And then the weekend after that, Sophia got sick with a double ear infection, and then the antibiotic we had her on over the weekend, she had an allergic reaction to it. So we had to take her back to the doctors on Monday. But she's fine and better now, just being a baby, 15-month-old. But and then last weekend, prior to today, because we're recording on Sunday, October 4th, so the last weekend of September, then the actual sinus infection started kicking in. Now, luckily, I've pretty much kicked it at this point prior to me finally going on vacation. So I'm hoping I've got everything out of my system, and I'm good to go at this point. But, yes, I'm glad to be back, guys. Appreciate you coming together so we could do a quick recording before I get to fly down to Florida, and we'll talk a little bit about that. How much anticipation I have for going down and finally getting to see Galaxy's Edge.
I'm jealous, but yet not that jealous that you've had to go through all this stuff leading up to your trip to Florida. Yikes.
Yeah, forget sick bay. This man needs the entire medical frigate.
He does. Yeah, we're going to put you on your own starship, keep you quarantined.
I am right now. You guys are all together, and I'm off in my own little space still.
Yes, and I'm pleased to let everyone know that making his triumphant return to the show is my second-born son, Joseph Baltman. Joseph, welcome back to the Drunken Gungan Starship.
Hey guys, it's good to be back. I enjoyed it last time, so I'm excited to have a blast here again.
Yes, Joseph is excited to talk about rumors of The Mandalorian, but he also is excited to be on the show again, and he's pretty excited to, as he says, just wing it, because he didn't want to look over the show notes before.
Yeah, good to have you back, Joseph. And I'm going to be glad to finally be able to talk some Mando spoilers because you guys have been able to do all of it while I've been sick. So I'm excited to talk Mando Season 2 as well. And
That's
I know
true.
We've got a few juicy rumors to talk about.
We do. And we are grateful that some of our listeners have sent feedback about our last episode where we went over the Mandalorian Season 2 trailer shot by shot, second by second. People out there said they really enjoyed that. I'm glad because I have to admit, for a few minutes there, I thought, maybe we were being a little too meticulous here. But then I'm like, nah, we're Star Wars fans. We're never too meticulous. We're always meticulous to the nth degree.
Yeah, thanks to JD and Colton for hanging in there with you guys the past couple of shows. Appreciate it, guys.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, before we get ready to dive on in, let me tell you where you can find us on the Fandom Podcast Network. So, of course, our master feed is at fpnet.podbean.com. You can also find us fpnet on the Podbean app. You can find the Fandom Podcast Network on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, Google Play, and now on the internationally known iHeartRadio network. And you can, of course, look for us on Facebook at the What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast Facebook group that Derrick runs for us. You can email me between shows at whatapieceofjunkpod@gmail.com. We have Twitter, which I run over there at WhatWars. And on Instagram, we are the Fandom Podcast Network. Nathan, let folks know about those Apple Podcast reviews, please.
Yes, if you listen to us, we would love for you to leave us an Apple Podcast review. And, of course, be honest. This is for posterity, so we do want to know how we do. But also, we love 5-star reviews. It helps other people find our podcast. And, of course, we wouldn't want to upset the Wookiee.
Yeah, those Wookiees, they're known to tear people's arms out of their side.
Yes, and those Wookiee children need to eat, so...
Yes, they do. All right, Derrick, I know you've missed it these past few episodes. It's your favorite part of the show.
It is. It is. What Star Wars T-shirt are we wearing? And I'm just going to tell you guys, I've got one that's going to come with a story because I got to make up for lost time. Okay.
Well, by all means, go right
ahead. So you want me to go first? You want me to go last?
No, please go first. Go first.
So just first off, I'm actually wearing the What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast T-shirt apparel that you can obviously get from TeePublic Store, and we definitely appreciate if you head on over there, look up for Fandom Podcast Network, search for What a Piece of Junk podcast. You can get T-shirts, you can get mugs, you can get all sorts of cool apparel. They got face masks, hoodies. They run sales from time to time up to 30% off. So really, really appreciate if you go out there, help support whatever we can do to keep the lights and the fuel on the ship going. Because we all know that this thing sucks up a lot of fuel, and we need to make sure we're getting from one bar to the next so we can keep the show running. Otherwise, you're going to have to deal with us coming to your house, folks. So if you don't want us coming to our house, but you want to listen to the show, make sure you support us. So
that coaxium isn't cheap.
No, you can apparently buy your freedom with it. So, all right. So the real shirts that I wanted to talk about, though, the ones I haven't got to reveal. So everyone knows that I obviously like to buy, Facebook with the montage stuff. They get you all the time with, because they do all that searching on your phone and everything. So T-Turtle obviously has a lot of cool Star Wars shirts that they kind of do that I like to pick up from time to time. And I think this was the second to last order was like my fourth order. I got some shirts, and my wife was like, it'd be nice if I could get a shirt. And I said, well, I'll get you one next time, because I didn't know she wanted one. So, anyway, so I was thinking, okay, cool. What can I get her next time I go to make a purchase? And as I mentioned, I'm going to Disney World in Orlando, Florida next week. And it would be really cool. I figured, hey, if I get something that we could both wear together, right? Matching shirts or something like that. So anyways, I saw that they were running a 50% sale on a specific shirt that I wanted that was popping up with the image. And I'll talk about that next time I wear it because I haven't worn that short shirt yet. So I'll do that on the next one. But anyways, I went there, got that shirt, and then I was scrimmaging through their other 50% off. And I found a pair of shirts that were going to be really funny. I thought that would get it. So anyway, so I ordered those shirts. Well, obviously, we've mentioned before, we were all going to go to Gen Con and all that. Well, initially that week that we were going to go to Gen Con, my sister-in-law was going to come down and just hang out with my wife and Sophia. So that way she could, once she had PTO to burn, but that way my wife wasn't doing everything all by herself on that week. So anyways, the shirts came, and my wife was like wondering what the package was when it came, and I'm like, oh, it's my shirts. And she's like, oh, you bought some more shirts? I'm like, yeah, but don't worry, I got you one this time. She's like, oh, you did? So she went ahead and opened it, and the first shirt she got was the shirt that was going to be hers. And she started laughing because, credit to my wife, she at least got this reference, all right? Because then she was telling my sister-in-law, her sister, about the shirt, and she kind of had to explain it. So kudos to my wife for understanding the Star Wars reference, and I'll show what the shirt was here. So everyone knows that T Turtle kind of does the drawings, animation, artwork of like almost any type of character that's out there in the fantasy and sci-fi world, but it's more like a chibi artwork. So this shirt is of Chibi Leia. And you can see that she's saying, "I love you." So as soon as she saw it, she knew what the next shirt was going to be, which was my shirt that I'm going to be wearing, which everyone I'm sure on this shirt show already knows what it is.
I know.
And it's the Han Solo that says, "I know." So
Excellent.
Yes. So again, kudos to my wife for getting the reference, and that's what we'll be wearing Thursday when we get to go hit Hollywood Studios and hit Galaxy's Edge.
I'm so jealous. Have a good time, man.
Yes, I'll be sending lots of pictures to you guys in the chat as well as on the Facebook page. So
Awesome. And of course, next episode, you'll have to give us a firsthand account of what goes on at Galaxy's Edge these days.
definitely.
All right, cool. Well, Joseph, what Star Wars shirt are you wearing this week?
I'm wearing my Star Wars Celebration shirt. It's my Kylo Ren edition.
Awesome. I hear a really cool dad got you that when he went to Chicago.
Yes, and Wookiee as well.
Yes, indeed. That looks
Now,
great.
is that done? Is that done by a specific artist or anything? Because it's kind of like a black and white drawing. It's pretty sweet looking.
It is. It is a charcoal drawing by the artist in question, one of the official artists of Star Wars Celebration 2019. And he did that drawing at the convention, and then they made a bunch of screen printed shirts. So when we went to go buy them, you basically custom ordered every one, and they made them right in front of us.
Wow, that's awesome.
And you can just barely still make it out, but since the artist was there, if you look down at the bottom right there, you can see that I got him to sign Joseph's shirt.
I can see a little bit with the light of the glare, but you could still make it out. So it
Yes,
must be-
it's faded a bit since that was last April, but it's
and I'm
pretty
sure
fun.
you've watched it. So
Yes, we have watched it once or twice. All right, Nathan, what Star Wars shirt do you have on?
Well, I'm sure you could not recognize the character on my shirt due to the lack of a red arm. But I am wearing a C-3PO shirt, and it says, "Stay golden."
nice.
It is just C-3PO, no pesky R2-D2 to get him into any shenanigans today. We're going to stay golden, and we're going to communicate in
6 million
Six
forms,
million forms of communication.
So
Yeah.
this is prior to Attack of the Clones.
Must be.
Yes, it's also prior to.
Well, no, it has to be after Attack of the Clones. Well, it's
No, because R2D2 and C-3PO got together again at the Attack of the Clones because they have that whole wacky shenanigans at the factory, and then they really never get separated after that.
But it
And
does
he already had his golden armor plate, but he didn't have it after
No.
they left him on Tatooine and Phantom Menace, so it had to be in between, right?
He did not have his golden armor plate in Attack of the Clones. He was gray. He was metallic. He was not.
Was he? Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He was metallic. Yeah.
I know this because that's how I painted my C-3PO for Star Wars.
All right. Kudos to Nathan for getting me on that one. So, all right.
Okay,
Maybe that's
and-
when R2D2 was shut down then when Luke left. So that was
Yeah. All right, and I am wearing the topic-appropriate Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 1 poster shirt that Joseph and Matthew got for me as a present, which I'm very proud of and wear as often as I can. But not so often that I get it faded because I want it to stay nice and orangey, yellowy, golden brown with all the Tatooine references there and the heraldry and the coat of arms that are spanning the starfield above Din, Cara Dune, Quill, and IG-11, along with a blurg.
Is there a child?
Yeah.
There is no the child because this is during the part, I believe, where they're going to get him back. I think that's what this is referencing. Either way, it was more of a promo image than a particular scene.
Yeah, it does look like a desert planet, so presumably Navarro.
Yeah.
There's TIE fighters, which we didn't see until close to the end of the season. So,
Right.
Yeah, it looks like when they're going to get him back. You have to save Baby Yoda from the Punchy Troopers.
You do have to save the child from the punchy biker scouts. Yes.
Well, and they might have printed that prior to the show coming out too, so they wanted to still keep it a secret.
Yeah.
At
It
least
could have
that's
been
what
when
Favreau
his
still says.
presence was under wraps.
Okay, yeah. Well, see, that makes logical sense and whatnot. I'm more concerned about saving the child from the Punchy Troopers. Who cares about logic?
All right. Well, I'm gonna.
No, all we care about is secrets. Disney's got their secrets, and that's what we're going to be here to talk about, right?
That's true.
That's true. Absolutely.
I'm
true.
enjoying our stopover here today on Bespin, so I'm going to mosey on over to the bar here at Cloud City and see what I can find to drink and maybe some Star Wars rumors.
See if they got any Colt 45 while we're here.
Works every time. Oh, wait, I'm not drinking Colt 45. No, I am, in fact, drinking Double Cola, which is a little-known regional soda here in the South. Specifically, this is bottled in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and has been a soda since back in the 1920-somethings, when most of the major soft drinks were created in response to prohibition of alcohol. But the reason that it's a dark soda, so it's a little bit like Coca-Cola. Actually, it tastes a little bit like a Pepsi mixed with some Dr. Pepper is what it reminds me of.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
That may be where the double comes from.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a double Cola.
the double comes from, I actually looked this up before the podcast because I wanted to be able to answer the inevitable question. Why is it called Double Cola?
Yeah,
And the
you knew
answer-
Derrick was going to ask.
I knew. The answer is, when this was created, a marketing gimmick on their part was to sell it in 12-ounce bottles, which was double the size of all the other colas at that time, which were sold in 6-ounce bottles. So it was double the amount of cola, hence Double Cola, 12-ounce bottle. And it is still a 12-ounce bottle and still delicious.
I mean, I guess, but I mean, I always imagined that all the glass bottles back in the day were 12 ounces because I was going to say a 6-ounce by the time you put the straw in it, it's all going to overflow and spill out.
No, if you look back in collectibles in the Coca-Cola market and Pepsi Cola, 6 ounces was the standard size back in the 1920s.
Then we had to supersize everything.
Yep. So 100
12
years
is now
ago,
small.
100 years ago, 12 would have been, a ridiculous amount of soda,
All right.
which I suppose also coincides with American obesity becoming a problem. But anyway, that's not what this podcast
So,
is about.
Did Nathan rummage through your fridge and find a drink for himself today?
Well, sort of. I rummaged through the fridge and found water.
Yes,
Oh, okay.
he's got the old H2O. But Joseph is a chip off the old block. Wait, no, that's not right. A acorn that didn't fall too far from the tree. He's acting like my child and is drinking a soda. Joseph, what are you drinking over there? Out of a glass bottle even.
It's a glass bottle of Dr. Pepper.
Yep. Oh, and what size is that bottle, son?
8 ounces.
8 ounces, see? So, yeah.
Now, I will say I am drinking this water out of a Coca-Cola glass.
I don't think
I
that
don't know
really
if that
counts
counts.
for anything.
Clear Coke, I guess.
It's
Crystal
Crystal Coke? No. All right. Well, anyway, speaking of no, please, no. I have some Mandalorian Season 2 rumors for us to jaw about for a
Wait.
bit here.
Why is that? No.
Well, when
Yes, we want more rumors.
but when I tell you this rumor, some of our audience might be like, no, please, no. And that is, the rumor mill is grinding away on the idea that Sabine Wren and Ahsoka Tano won't be the only characters from Star Wars Rebels to make their live-action debut. In fact, thanks to some scuttlebutt on Twitter this week, there is a chance that one Ezra Bridger might make his live-action debut on Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2. Joseph, what do you think about that?
Well, it's like I told you last night at dinner. I had a feeling that it was going to wrap up Ezra's and crew's story of how they were trying to find the Mandalorian to get his help to find Ezra since he went missing after that incident with Grand Admiral Thrawn and the space whales or whatever.
The Perigil.
Yes.
Which are space whales. I mean, let's be honest.
So would you be happy to see that, Joseph? Or are you one of the people that would hear this rumor and go, oh, no, please no?
Well, no, because I wanted to know what happened to Ezra. I wanted Rebels season
5.
5.
Or Series
I mean,
2.
that wasn't going to happen.
Or Series 2. Rebels Part 2. Yeah.
Rebels 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Ooh, he's getting some humor on him now.
I know.
I really wanted to know what happened to Ezra because he was like just starting to get good with the Force. So I know he can't. I mean, he could be dead, but it's Disney. They don't kill children.
Yeah. As I said when we had our discussions about the Season 4 finale, they're not going to kill off a little boy on a Disney cartoon. It's just not going to happen.
And we will find out what happened at some point. It's just a question of, is that point now or some other story in the future?
Yeah.
So if they do end this story in Mandalorian, I wouldn't be mad or disappointed. It's kind of expected, but we'll just have to wait and see.
So, Derrick, what are your thoughts about the possibility of a live-action Ezra Bridger?
So I'm with Joseph that I was really starting to at least, not be annoyed by Ezra. Season 3 it was okay, but season 4 he was starting to at least be a little bit more less annoyance. He was kind of getting out of that Shinji mode. And for those that don't know the Shinji mode from Evangelion Neon Genesis, there you go. Watch the show. But anyways, we all talked about this just a year ago. Remember, guys, we all talked about that there was rumors that they already had a Rebels 2 and it was under, coming to this fall or something, that they were going to release it. Maybe this is what it has been. Maybe the rumor people didn't quite get it, that it wasn't going to be its own show, but that they were bringing it to The Mandalorian.
Yeah, I distinctly remember talking about this on a previous episode of Wapage.
It was one of our early episodes.
Yeah. And in fact, that was back when we would have Nathan on occasion to be a special guest to talk about Star Wars animation in particular. Because, Derrick, at that time, you and I and the other Rumor Mill folks thought that Rebels 2 was going to be an animated show. That they were just going to do another cartoon, but, set post-Return of the Jedi and have all the characters grown up. So maybe you're right. Maybe that's what this was.
Yeah, and just the whole fact that, we thought, maybe we'll see the Mando in animation then. He'll make a prize role or something in the season. And obviously, if they have Ezra, I'm more excited that we're going to get Thrawn.
Yes. Mm-hmm. As Joseph so well remembered and pointed out.
Yes.
Both of them disappeared at the same time, space whales, etc. So yeah, I'd love to see a live-action Thrawn. And if you recall, when you looked at the photographs that Nathan and I took with Mita and Andrea at the Star Wars Celebration in 2019, in the big mural that they unveiled, in the Star Wars Rebels section, the quote-unquote live-action looking painting part about Rebels, they had a live-action looking Star Wars Grand Admiral Thrawn, big, blue, larger-than-life up there, that everybody said looked like Pierce Brosnan wearing blue makeup, because he was way different than the stylized art of the Star Wars Rebels cartoon itself. So it was look, it's evil blue James Bond.
I just don't know if he'd have the voice for it, though, just because they've done – I'm under that perception of what they've done with the novels over all these years, extended universe and current universe, as well as, what they did within Rebels. So, but I wouldn't have any objection to him playing a more mature Thrawn at that point.
Yeah, you could write off the voice difference between Brosnan and Stephen Stanton, the voice actor for Thrawn. You could write off the voice differences. Wait, was it Stephen Stanton? Is that right?
I'd have to look that one up.
Anyway, you could write off the voice differences based on the time that has passed. Or, maybe Thrawn suffered some kind of injury when they did the weird space whale hyperspace thing. I don't know. Who knows what happens to you when you travel by
just stroke. Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
Or, this is Star Wars. We have a long and storied tradition of people thinking that they are going to be the voice for a major villain and then not being the voice for that major villain.
True. It was not Stephen Stanton. Joseph looked it up on the old interwebs. It was Lars Mikkelsen who was the voice.
Yes, Lars.
My bad. My apologies, Mr. Mikkelsen and Mr. Stanton. Stephen Stanton, of course, was the voice of Grand Moff Tarkin on Star Wars Rebels. That's who I was thinking.
Dave Filoni was Chopper?
Yes, Dave Filoni was the voice of Chopper.
I never knew that. That's so cool.
Yeah, I remember.
He's also the voice of Trapper Wolf because he plays him in real life.
Yes.
Which I have obtained a sewing pattern to get my Trapper Wolf cosplay together.
Good times.
However, I can't sew, so I will be requesting some help with that. But I have the pattern.
Well, that's a step in the right direction.
What's this cosplay for?
For Trapper Wolf.
For
where do you want to wear the cosplay? Yeah.
Oh, just around the house.
He's gonna wear it the one time he has to go to the office. Be like, see, this is what quarantine's done to me, boss. I have to stay home now.
So,
in all seriousness, this would be a cosplay that I would want to have on hand for any convention that I go to, particularly for Dragon Con, because there's a lot of Star Wars stuff.
And
there.
Gen Con.
And
Gen Con, yes. And a lot of cosplay.
I'd love to play Legion dressed as Trapper Wolf.
Oh, that'd be
at Gen
amazing.
Con. That would
Yes.
be, and I'd love to go back to Celebration.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Yeah, I would
Yep.
love to as well.
Yes, I'm sure you would love to go.
Get a job.
and unlike Joseph, I'm not financially dependent on my father for doing that.
So, meanwhile, back on the topic of Ezra Bridger in live action, some people out there might be wondering, other than the, Ahsoka and Sabine tie-in, why are we bringing this up about Ezra? And the answer is, a particular actor from iZombie was on Twitter this week talking about how he had gotten into shape during the quarantine. That actor's name is Raul Coley. If you watched iZombie, you recognize him from that show. But his tweet read, "Getting into that Lothal orphan, force-sensitive, trained by Kanan Jarrus kind of shape, for no particular reason." Of course, once he put out
I think
that
he's just
tweet,
trolling everybody if he's
once he
not.
put out that tweet, Star Wars Twitter went nuts, including yours truly and the What Wars account. I quickly put a message in the Facebook group to the rest of the hosts for the show and be like, guys, oh my gosh, do you think this dude could be playing Ezra Bridger live action? Now, since then, Mr. Coley has come out with a video where he confesses that he was just kidding around and trying to get a rise out of people and, basically trying to get attention. So mission accomplished, Mr. Coley. However, because this is a Star Wars casting rumor, he could easily have accidentally spilled the beans and then put up that video as a half-hearted way to cover his tracks. I don't know. There's obviously been no official announcement about Ezra, but there's been no official announcement about Ahsoka or Sabine either, and that hasn't stopped anybody from, pontificating ad nauseum about whether or not those two characters are going to make the jump from animation to live action.
But we did have a confirmation officially, as I pointed in the chat earlier, which we can bring up too now, that the Disney Plus Germany Twitter page, as they posted their Mandalorian Season 2 streaming dates, that they actually officially confirmed Rosario Dawson and
Timothy
Olyphant in it, as well as obviously Sasha Banks, which we already knew because we see her in the film.
Yeah, Sasha's
she's somewhat in it for whatever, but yes. But they finally officially, a Disney platform has officially confirmed those two are in Mando Season 2.
Yes,
now, whether they, whether
reference
Germany
to
Disney Plus
whom they're
does.
going to play.
Yeah. Go get Nathan.
But without any official reference to whom they are going to play. So, yes, we know Rosario Dawson's going to be in The Mandalorian Season 2, but maybe she's playing an entirely new character.
I guess that's possible, but
Maybe Sasha Banks is Ahsoka Tano.
That's also possible.
That one I would not believe, because I don't think they would have put her in the trailer and then not have her as Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Like that part doesn't quite.
Well,
get me, but-
let's just remember, guys, though, this is Disney. They screw us over every time they release a Marvel trailer.
This is true.
I mean, every time it's like, oh, it's like 50% of that trailer is not going to be in the movie.
Yeah, but they don't usually put characters.
It's more like 99% of that trailer isn't going to be.
Sometimes, but they don't usually put characters who are going to be in makeup not in makeup. We didn't see Vin Diesel walking around going, "I am Groot," without being Groot.
Well, yes, we know that part. But I'm just saying, like, they could have done like an unfinished photo of her, and because she does stand like Ahsoka. Her head is a little bit higher than a typical humanoid character's head would be. So there's a chance that, I mean, she could be playing Ahsoka.
I don't think so. I don't buy that one.
Yeah, I think that you know what, we'll talk about Sasha Banks here in just a moment. I wanted to add that according to a nice article about it over at ScreenRant.com, if it's not Mr. Coley playing Ezra Bridger, it could be this other actor named Angel Bismarck Curio. He is famous for being in Pose, and he, has some pretty good amount of gravitas for a young man. He would definitely be playing a younger-ish Ezra on the amount of time that should have passed between the last time we saw Ezra and post.
Ezra would almost be in his 40s at this point.
Yeah, I was about to say, how old do we think Ezra?
Because Ezra was like 14 or 15 at the end of Rebels, right?
Yeah, he was like 15, 16.
He was about 15 when he went missing with Grand Admiral Thrawn.
And that was probably maybe a year or two out from A New Hope.
Guys, we don't have to speculate on his age. Remember, Ezra was born on Empire Day. That's the same day Luke was born. He's the exact same age as Luke.
Oh, excellent point, Nathan.
Yes.
So that would mean that at the end of Return of the Jedi, which is pretty much where we are with The Mandalorian Season 2, maybe a year later.
5 years after.
5 years later.
Yeah.
So Ezra would be 5 years older than Luke was in Return of the Jedi.
Right.
Which would put him at somewhere around 32?
Early 30s, maybe late 20s.
Yeah. So Angel Kirill could play early to mid 30s.
Yeah.
That'd be fine.
Well, how old is I Am Zombie Boy Man thing?
So if Mr. Coley plays Ezra, he would be leaning more toward mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm basing
Well,
this on the way they look in the shows that I've seen them in.
Yeah.
Obviously, if Mr. Coley shaves his beard and cuts his hair short, and makeup's a thing, they can make him look young.
They can. I mean, they've made Robert Downey Jr. like 20 years younger in the movies with all the technology that they had. I mean, they brought Peter Cushing back from the dead with Tarkin.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that the Mandalorian would spend that kind of money, but again, they have a huge LED light bulb room, so they can do whatever they want.
Light bulb room.
Of course.
So, but just remember
that Ezra has been off with the Purrgil for the past 10 years or so, and we don't know how that affects him. If he's been stuck in the world between worlds, maybe he doesn't age there.
So we know that when you travel faster than light in the Star Wars galaxy, you're not actually moving at hyperluminal velocity. You take a shortcut through another dimension. Well, what if the Purrgil took Thrawn and Ezra and all those people on those ships, and they just hung out in that dimension this whole time? It could be a whole crazy time warpy thing where 6 years in real universe is 6 days in hyperspace.
well, I was just going to say 20 years goes by or whatever the difference is between End of Rebels and Mando now, and they don't age at all, right?
Yeah, or like Joseph said.
Yeah, because in Endgame, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man was in the quantum realm for like an hour, and that was 5 hours, and that was 5 years.
Yeah.
In real time.
So if they do the same thing in the hyperspace dimension, who knows what will happen?
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of time travel things that are like that too, so they very well could keep that synopsis. But I remember when they were talking about The Last Jedi and Benicio del Toro was supposed to be Ezra. So, I mean, who knows at this point, right?
Yeah, and then lastly, this article from Screen Rant posits the theory that perhaps Taylor Gray himself could play Ezra in live action, the voice actor for the character from Star Wars Rebels. He is pretty much the correct age now to play Ezra post Return of the Jedi. But it's really weird and very rare to have a voice actor transition over to live action like that.
I would find it especially weird that they would have him transfer over to live action and then not have Ashley Eckstein transfer over.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they do that with General Grievous, though?
Did they?
Yeah, because Matthew Wood did General Grievous for Revenge of the Sith, did he not?
Well, yes, but General Grievous is mostly voice anyway.
Yeah, he was all CGI.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Cartoon going into live action.
Yeah, that doesn't really happen. True, that the actual movie people don't go to TV.
Yeah.
Or the voice acting that's money.
Right.
General Grievous's first appearance was in the movies.
And of course, this could all be moot because maybe there is no Ezra Bridger showing up in Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2. Could just be a total rumor.
I think it's likely that if there is one, that if he does appear, that it'll be in the final episode. And it'll be one of these, we've been searching for him the whole season, and he's kind of the MacGuffin of the season, and then we find him and Thrawn in the final scenes of the last episode.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like Superman, where they can't find an actor for him, so they're just gonna show the bottom half.
Yes, maybe he'll have the little lightsaber that he built and the orange T-shirt and so on, and no face.
No, it's just gonna be his left foot. That's it.
And this was in not Superman,
Shazam.
but
Shazam. Yeah.
Who I will always call Captain Marvel in the post credits.
You're not wrong.
No.
I enjoy the
wrong.
fact that both Captain Marvels came out in the same year. Anyway.
Yeah.
But think about that, though. With how much rumors or confirmed things that they have, I mean, unless if Mando's going to be like 20 episodes, they're not going to have enough time. So
That's true.
They're going to have to put something at the end, which very well will probably be Ahsoka, Sabine, and possibly Ezra/Thrawn.
Yeah.
I could see Ahsoka and Sabine kind of interweaving throughout the season. I mean, it's kind of like Cara Dune. She wasn't in every episode. But we got a glimpse of her in episode 3 or chapter 3, and then she came back later. I could see Ahsoka and Sabine doing that, and then leading up to Ezra and Thrawn.
Cara Dune showed up in chapter 4.
Chapter
4.
Chapter 3 was the sin.
You're right.
And then he then met her on Sorghum.
Endor 2.
ATST.
Yes, the planning with the ATST. Anyway, speaking of rumors for The Mandalorian Season 2, we all know that WWE's Sasha Banks is in the show because we saw her in the trailer, unless, as just pointed out, they pull a fast one on us and they put her in the trailer, but then they cut her from the show. Let's hope not. But
They paid her a lot of money for a quick fool me.
Right?
Actually, this is just a cameo.
As we have said, plenty of people think that she might be Sabine Wren. There are some crazy ideas about her being Ahsoka in disguise, as we just discussed. But the rumor that I got from the bartender here on Bespin today is that she might be playing a very unexpected character. Now, I had my own personal moment of, oh my gosh, that's who Sasha Banks is.
At Target.
Last night at Target. Yeah, Joseph, you want to tell that story?
Yeah, so we were just shopping there for some pops, and we saw some Star Wars pops, and then I found this droid from Galaxy's Edge. It was C9 or CB6 something, C6 ATST
96 CC. I don't remember. Anyway, he's a BB unit though.
Yeah, it's a BB unit, and I was like, we need to go to Galaxy's Eggs.
Galaxy's Eggs. We'll have a show of a time.
Galaxy's
Okay,
Edge.
stop scrambling this podcast.
Sorry.
And Daddy was all like, yeah, there's a lot of different characters. And who'd you say, the one with blue hair?
I said there's a lot of different characters at Galaxy's Edge. This orange ball droid hangs out with V. Maradi. And Joseph, of course, looked at me with a blank expression and said,
Who's V. Maradi?
I'm like, who's V. Maradi? She's the girl from Black Spire Outpost. The girl, the black girl with the blue hair. And then, ding, ding, ding. It was as if a giant lightsaber turned on above my head. I put my hands on his shoulders and went, oh, the black girl with blue hair. I bet that is who Sasha Banks is playing in Star Wars The Mandalorian, because Sasha Banks is famous for having blue hair.
Yeah, but then I thought to myself, when I got into bed, I was sitting there, I was like, they could just have Sasha dye her hair purple, or Sabine could have dyed her hair blue between that time, between Rebels and Episode 6.
Oh, yes, that's obviously a possibility, but I thought that having her be V. Maradi would be a great way to tie it all into stuff happening in Galaxy's Edge. So, at Black
Sell
Spire.
more tickets.
Yes, sell more tickets, exactly. So it would be a way to tie it into stuff happening at Black Spire Outpost. But we shall see. The article that we're going to discuss here that led to this rumor is that she's not playing V. Maradi or Sabine or Ahsoka, but a slightly more well-known expanded universe character here in the new Disney canon, and that would be Darth Vader's friend, Doctor Aphra. Derrick, what do you think about the possibility of her being Doctor Aphra?
I'd be fine with it. Obviously, she's just wearing a cape, and she looked nothing like her. For at least
Yeah,
what
no
we're getting
goggles,
from
no headset.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, again, Disney could just put a giant cape over her in one thing, so that way they could actually surprise us, and when we get to actually see her, actually when she's airs on the streaming service, then she'll actually be dressed in the appropriate outfit. So again, who knows? But that would be cool too. I mean, we've talked about that. That character there from the expanded canon universe now is very, very well written. I've read a couple of the comics themselves. I've not like worshipped everything and bought a bunch, but then I also know her from the Star Wars card game that Destiny we've played. She was brought in. She was very popular there. So I think she would that's one of those stories that would be really cool, where it's like, okay, we introduce this character, whether or not she gets a whole lot of screen time or not, but then if she steals the show for 15-20 minutes or the episode and she does really well with audiences, then hey, they've got it in their pocket to now we can go ahead and do a spinoff, right?
Yeah, totally. In fact, we heard rumors about a Doctor Aphra live action series on Disney Plus last year. Of course, then COVID hit, we had the corona apocalypse, and we're like, well, is that still going to happen? And then the whole rumor mill about the Doctor Aphra series, I believe, might have started like preliminary rumors back when Solo was a thing. And then when Solo kind of tanked in some people's eyes and they canceled a bunch of the spinoffs, we thought maybe Dr. Aphra's series got caught up in that bloodbath of cancellations. But, it's never been officially announced that it was canceled. But it was officially announced that it was going to be made as a series for Disney Plus. Just there was never any date set for it. Nathan, what do you think about the possibility of the former SmackDown Women's Champion playing Dr. Aphra?
I don't know as much about Dr. Aphra as you guys do. I mainly know her from you beating our tails with Dr. Aphra and Grand Moff Tarkin.
Cheers.
Yes, that was a good deck.
Destiny game. It was a very good deck. I had to pull out Boba Fett and the Seventh Sister to beat them. But also a good deck.
I went 5-1 with it at MomoCon, so.
Yeah, I didn't go 5-1 with anything at MomoCon.
Indeed.
I lost badly several times. So, anyways,
was that because you forgot the one card or something like that, and you were trying to build your deck last minute as usual?
Oh no! See,
did you?
Because I actually built my deck well in advance, I tend to do much better. I have won national championships in other card games building my deck the night before. When I have the deck built in advance, it just doesn't go well. I've never figured out this way. But
I'm just trying to remember. There was a card, or was that at Gen Con when you like forgot the one card and then you had to like insert something and then you ended up doing better than you thought you would have because like the one card actually let you win like 2 games? Wasn't that in the Boba Fett deck or something?
Yes, that did happen with Destiny at Gen Con.
Yeah.
And it was the Boba Fett Seven Sister deck.
Yep.
I had to purchase a couple of cards over at the vendor area to fill out my deck because I had accidentally brought. I only brought my deck because I didn't want to bring a whole bunch of extra dice, and I didn't realize until we got there that there were 2 cards that weren't supposed to be there, and 2 of the cards that were supposed to be there just weren't. So I had to go buy a couple cards to fill it out, but they weren't the cards that were originally supposed to be there. I can't remember which card I ended up subbing in, but it did actually legitimately win me a couple of the games.
Good times.
I tend to do better at the last minute there. But as far as the possibility of Sasha Banks being Dr. Aphra, I think that would be awesome. One thing I do know about Dr. Aphra is that she tends to have some droids with her. Mm-hmm. She likes to do some modifications to droids.
000 and BT1, baby.
Yeah. So if she is Dr. Aphra, I think it's a little weird that she didn't have droids with her in the trailer shot, but it was only a couple of seconds. So maybe they're just hiding, or maybe
they were hiding under the cape.
Well, I was thinking maybe in the cargo hold of the ship, but sure, why not? Just under the cape. It would be interesting if she is not Sabine. Then I think that would mean that we likely won't see Ezra. I don't think they would bring Ezra back without tying in the Sabine and Ahsoka looking for Ezra.
Yeah, that seems plausible.
Yeah.
Joseph, what do you think about the possibility that Sasha Banks would be Dr. Aphra? I know you don't know as much about her, but you do have one of her comics.
Yeah, but I never read it. Surprise. But much like Nathan, I don't know a whole lot about Doctor Aphra, and again, I agree with Nathan that she should be like either Sabine or someone important. Not that Doctor Aphra wouldn't be important.
Dr. Aphra's important.
I didn't say that she shouldn't be Doctor Aphra.
Yeah,
Just
but
that if she's not Sabine, then I don't think we'll see Ezra.
I think you kind of said you would like for her to be someone other than Doctor.
I would kind of like for her, but it'd be interesting to see Doctor Aphra too.
but like if she was gonna be someone like Doctor Aphra, then they wouldn't put her in the Mandalorian first. They would like at least put her in like.
Oh, that's the best time to introduce her.
Yeah, maybe this would be like a little stealth introduction of the character.
Or they could have put her in like Kenobi or something.
Yeah, having her be in the Kenobi series would make a lot more sense for Dr. Aphra because she was around with Darth Vader during the time frame that we've been told Kenobi will take place in the galaxy.
So I feel like putting her in Kenobi would make more sense than Mandalorian. But that's just my personal.
And that was going to be my comment. Yeah, that Sasha's too young looking in that to be Dr. Aphra, because Dr. Aphra would have to be in her like late 30s or 40s at that point.
Well, how old is Sabine supposed to be now?
Well, let's see. If Sabine was close to what, 18,
she's like what, 5 years old? Not even. She was maybe 3 years older than Ezra, so she'd be mid 30s, late 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was a teenager when they first meet her, and then she finally grows into like maybe her 21 by the time.
Right. For me, it would be cool to see Sasha Banks play Dr. Aphra or Sabine Wren. However, I still don't think that she's either of those people. And now that I've had more time to digest the, Eureka moment from Target, I don't really think she's going to be V. Marathi either.
You hit your target.
Yeah, I hit my target. Oh.
What about Verso?
So, possibly. Let me explain, though, real-world reasons that I've talked myself out of Sabine, Aphra, and V. Marathi.
Okay.
Sasha Banks doesn't have – so Sabine and Dr. Aphra especially skew Asian in their depictions in current mediums, comic books, animation, etc., video games, card games. And, of course, V. Marathi is very much I would say African-American, but she's from neither Africa nor America, so she's black in the stories that she's in.
She's still light-toned, but she is darker skin.
Yes. And
she's still not like,
in this day and age, I don't think Disney wants to deal with the backlash of casting a non-Asian actress to portray traditionally Asian viewed characters like Sabine or Dr. Aphra. It's possible. They might do it anyway.
Well, I'm going to say that they can get away with Sabine because Sabine's a cartoon. And let's be honest, yes, she might have some Asian in her, but she doesn't look Asian though.
Yeah,
like Dr. Aphra is pretty close to it, closer.
Dr. Aphra,
they can get away with Sabine.
Yeah, but as far as V. Marathi goes, as far as I know, all of the actresses that portray V at the Galaxy's Edge theme park have been African American actresses. So that's why I think that Sasha Banks is playing none of those three characters, which leads me back to my original thought from our trailer breakdown episode for season 2 of The Mandalorian, that Sasha Banks is playing a brand new character. And I'm perfectly okay with that. And I think that the only Disney trailer swerve that we got is that she showed up when we got to the portion of the Armorer's voiceover monologue where she's talking about the Jedi. And I think that rather than portraying a Jedi character, Sasha Banks is a Force user, but she's on the dark side. And she's there trying to track down Din and the child.
So she's a assassin.
Yeah, or some kind of inquisitor or dominatrix.
No, Inquisitor.
Inquisitor.
Or the Armorer could have hired Sasha Banks' character to mislead the Mandalorian and the child to like that ice planet.
To mislead them or lead them?
Maybe both.
Mm.
Maybe you're right with Sasha being on the dark side and she wants to kill the child, but Mando's gonna be like, I ain't having that, and an epic duel might happen.
Yeah, maybe she's a Night Sister.
Oh. Oh, look at you saying this like at the end of the segment. Come on, man.
Well, I was trying to think something that wasn't necessarily a dark Jedi, right? But
That's
you
true.
were,
Yeah,
you know,
Night Sister is a whole
something
different
else.
thing. Yeah.
You know,
But
do
we
witches. I mean, that would be something that's at least different, but that the Mando has to deal with. But that I think would be something more. It would be a challenge, but something that the Mando could control. An actual Force user, I don't think Mando would stand a chance. Like
how cool would it be if that episode is the season opener, the season premiere, and it involves Force witches and it comes out on October 30th?
That's my thing.
Amazing, but Disney's not that cool.
I don't know. That's a Dave Filoni move right there.
Yes,
is to
it
do a
is.
Halloween
Really
thing on the day before Halloween.
Yep.
Ah,
So you're
Well,
welcome.
Halloween weekend.
Yes, Halloween weekend. Yeah, totally.
Well, it depends if you're in Australia.
Yeah, by the time we're watching it, Adam and them will be already done with Halloween.
Speaking of us watching it, Scott, when do we
Yes.
plan to watch Mandalorian episode 1 of season 2?
That's a great question. We're gonna have to figure out when we can do that. There was a discussion about us doing a live watch along and recording it for the podcast, but we've got to figure out a
That
way.
sounds terrible.
We've got to figure out a way to do that where we don't have any audio from the Mandalorian in the background, or else Disney's lawyers will shut us down in a hot minute.
Yes. But
Well-
we're thinking, listeners, that we're going to do on the YouTube channel, do a live listen, like Kevin and Kyle have been doing with the Culture Clash, and with did they do that with Karate Kid?
Yeah.
Or Cobra Kai or whatever. So
Cobra Kai, yes, Cobra
yeah.
Kai.
So we're thinking about that, folks. So and we're probably thinking early afternoon or late afternoon, I should say, because Nathan took the day off. So
I don't take days off very often,
No.
but for the
but this is
Mandalorian,
Mando for JD. There we go.
There you go. Yes, Mando. So good to see you. Good times.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break now that we've been pontificating about Mandalorian rumors, and listen to Kevin tell us what else you can hear right here on the Fandom Podcast Network.
Hi, this is Delilah S. Dawson and her current cold virus, and you are listening to What a Piece of Junk podcast.
Thank you for listening. We hope you're enjoying this podcast. We'd like to continue to feed your ears by inviting you to listen to our other awesome shows on the Fandom Podcast Network. It starts with our flagship show, Culture Clash, our weekly pop culture podcast. Couch Potato Theater, our podcast celebrating our favorite movies. Time Warp, the Fandom Flashback podcast discussing a whole year in movies. The End Zone, our NFL podcast. Good Evening, an Alfred Hitchcock podcast. The Union Federation, our Star Trek and Orville podcast. Hair Metal, the 1980s rock metal podcast. Type 40, our Doctor Who podcast. Lethal Mullet, a 1980s action film podcast. What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast. And our newest show, Making Treks, a Star Trek podcast. A deep dive into the final frontier with host Mark Newbold and Adam P. O'Brien. You can enjoy all of these great Fandom Podcast Network shows on our master feed at fpnet.podbean.com. The FPNet can also be found on the Podbean app. The Fandom Podcast Network is also on Apple Podcast, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, Spotify, and now iHeartRadio. You can find the Fandom Podcast Network on Facebook. You can also email us at fandompodcastnetwork@gmail.com. You can also find the Fandom Podcast Network on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you for listening, and remember, respect others and enjoy your fandom.
Hi, this is Eric Walker, the original Mace, the OM in the universe. Sorry, Sam Jackson. And you're listening to What a Piece of Junk podcast.
All right, great. Thanks so much, Kevin. So we're all excited about Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 2 coming out here in October, but October is home to several other Star Wars releases, not the least of which is a brand new video game from our friends at Electronic Arts that harkens back to the Star Wars flight simulators of days of yore, like X-Wing and TIE Fighter and X-Wing
versus TIE Fighter.
Yeah, there you go. So our very own Dave Filoni got a chance to play the brand new Star Wars Squadrons that came out like a day before we began to do this episode. So Nathan, What are your thoughts about Star Wars Squadrons?
Well, I think that you guys need to take away my pilot's license because I'm pretty terrible at it. Yeah, so I've completed 2 missions so far, the prologue and the first actual mission. And when I say completed, I mean I was able to survive just long enough to get to the next checkpoint before I blew up to complete each segment of each mission. I lost track of the number of times that I was destroyed. You know, it would be a lot easier if the opponents were not all shooting at me.
So, Nathan, you're saying you're the launch pad of Star Wars.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You meant to crash. You meant to crash.
Sometimes I did. I admit there were times when I got so frustrated that I'm like, you know what? The easiest way to blow up the Star Destroyer is, flying through the bridge. I saw it work on Return of the Jedi, so I'm just going to crash into it. And turns out that doesn't actually work in this game. You blow up the Star Destroyer, doesn't. The story so far is fairly interesting. It starts off, I was surprised because I had heard that this was the new Republic versus the Empire, but it actually starts off shortly after the destruction of Alderaan with the Empire and the Rebellion. But that's just in the prologue. The prologue has a little bit of teaching you how to fly, which I should have paid more attention to. And then a little bit of story of a particular Imperial officer who, upon being told to hunt down and destroy the remaining Alderanians, decides that he'd rather defect and join the rebellion. And then he becomes kind of your guide for the future missions. So it actually starts off on the Imperial side, where you're following him around to help destroy Alderanian people to blow up a convoy of refugees. But when you get to the end of that, he defects, and you switch over to the New Republic side, to the Rebellion side to rescue him. And then once you're done with that prologue, you move on to the main bulk of the game. And I tell you more about that story, but I haven't gotten there yet because it took me so long to get through that because I've died so many times.
Now, from what I have seen on the internet, the story mode has gotten mixed reviews here and there, but most people really love the actual flight simulator mechanics of it. From what I understand, the game's been doing quite well and getting pretty good reviews. Derrick, have you heard anything about the game?
No, I haven't. Obviously, we've talked a little bit about it on the past couple episodes, and I know some folks are really excited about it. And then Nathan's been chatting us up that he was going to go ahead and get it and play it, and he kept us up to date with how many times he's died. So it's been pretty humorous. So. But yeah, I figure at some point, as I do with most video games at this point in my life, because I just don't have the time to sit down with the little one at the moment. Maybe eventually when she gets older and I can buy a console game again. But at this point, I'll probably just wait till somebody puts on YouTube the total cinematic showings and just watch it that way.
Oh, I bet they're already up there on YouTube. It's been like more than 24 hours since release. There are people that played it non-stop to get it all recorded and be.
I'm sure they put it on easy mode or they hacked into it, right? So
yeah.
Now there is a storyline mode, which is the easy mode, and I admit I did not go to storyline mode. I went to piloting mode, which is the next easiest. There are 2 more difficult.
Well, there's your problem. You're way too old to do this. I'm gonna play pilot mode. Come on.
Yeah, well, I think part of the problem is. We've talked about in previous episodes, I never played the X-Wing or TIE Fighter games.
That's true.
I played Rogue Squadron, which was much more of an arcade style, shoot down a whole bunch of TIE Fighters game. And I tried to play this game the same way, and the ship doesn't have quite the same maneuverability. It takes more shots to actually blow ships up. Your opponent's ships are way farther away from you. So it was a more difficult game for me.
You didn't mention which platform did you buy it for?
I bought it for PC, and that's probably also part of the issue is I don't have a joystick. I am playing with mouse and keyboard.
I was just going to ask that next. Yeah, if you're playing with the mouse and keyboard, that could be very hard.
Now, I did play with mouse and keyboard for Star Wars Galaxies when they had Jump to Light Speed, and I got pretty good with that. I actually played with just keyboard on that one. you could use the WASD keys to actually steer your ship. Whereas in this game, W and S are throttle up and throttle down. You have to use them.
Oh, see, that's what it is. You got that old school, mentality of Galaxy, so you got to build yourself out of it. So maybe in another 6 weeks.
Maybe. We'll see. But for now, I plan to just keep surviving just long enough to get to the next checkpoint and then blowing up.
Yes, and blowing up is what he does best.
Yes.
Good time.
That's why we don't let Nathan actually drive the drunken Gungan, though, folks.
Yeah. You put me in this co-pilot seat, and you put labels on all of these buttons, but I swear, no matter how many of them I press, nothing ever changes.
He does a great job
They're
as
stickers.
a engineer, but not as an actual pilot.
Yes, they're just stickers. They just blink when we know something's right. We always put it on autopilot and let the droid do it anyways. So,
good times. All right. Well, speaking of Nathan having stuff blow up, also here in this month of October, we finally got some time to get together and play some Star Wars Legion using some of the new Star Wars Legion models that have been released. I got to use the Mandalorian Resistance models. Oh, man, are they awesome. And Nathan got to play with some other models, too.
Yes, the Imperial Special Forces models. And, oh, man, did they die quickly.
Yeah, let's just say Rebels came out ahead on the releases that batch in that the Mandalorian Resistance are bonkers good, and the Imperial Special Forces are not quite as bad as bog standard stormtroopers, but pretty close.
Yeah,
and cost a lot.
They're pretty similar to Death Troopers in a lot of ways, but like everywhere you look, Death Troopers are just a little bit better, but Death Troopers cost a little bit more. But basically, if you have the points, take Death Troopers over the Imperial Special Forces. They're better. But you'd expect that the ones that cost are better.
Do they get better with Verso or no?
If you are running Inferno Squad specifically, they do get better with Verso. They have a keyword that allows them to gain tokens if they're close enough to item Verso.
Yeah, it's like the Mandalorians when they run with Sabine.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was going to say Clan Ren gets a lot better with Sabine, which is pretty impressive because Clan Ren is not too shabby when they start out. Now, of course, the drawback for the Mandalorian Legion units is the fact that there's only 3 models in the standard. Nice. I see Derrick's got 3 boxes worth of Mandalorian Resistance models waiting to be opened.
That's more than you need. You should send me some.
Right.
Well, I'm going to, because I don't play, competitively enough, so I know locally my friends won't care, but I'm going to doctor up Rebel Troopers as Mandalorians with them. So I'll still have the Rebel Trooper squad card, but I want a full squad of Mandos.
Yeah. So when you build an actual squad of actual Mandalorian Resistance Special Forces units in Legion, it starts out as 3 models per unit. So if you do Clan Ren, it's 3 models with 2 hit points each. And if you do regular Mandalorian Resistance as a squad, it's 3 models, but they each only have 1 hit point. So while they are somewhat fragile on the hit point totals, you have to take into account that I wear Beskar. Wait, I don't wear any Beskar. That's right, you don't. So you put a lot of faith in that Beskar armor when you field those guys. But in my opinion, that's the way to play them. You know that everybody who's playing Star Wars Legion is typically a Star Wars fan. And at this point, pretty much at any point in the history of Star Wars fandom, Mandalorians are well known as the best warriors in the galaxy. So lean hard into the fact that you have really good defense and just send them out there as a big threat and make your opponent react to them. That's pretty much what I did in our game against Nathan's Imperial Special Forces heavy squad. And they just got pulverized. The Mandalorians just laid waste. And keep in mind that these are trooper units. So even though they can fly, because they have jetpacks, you can bring these guys back to life with 2-1B medical droid, which I did. Nothing feels better than having your opponent send a bunch of shots downrange into a unit of Mandalorians, have one of the Mandalorians accidentally fail. They get shot in that little spot between their neck and their shoulder where there's no Beskar. they actually die, and then later that turn, you use a medical droid to bring them back from the dead, baby.
Yeah, that wasn't very annoying at all.
Anyway, and then, you can add on the heavy weapon trooper. In this case, the heavy weapon trooper is a Beskar duelist, which is a Mandalorian with an awesome Beskar sword. And I am very proud of the way that paint job turned out. And she looks incredibly menacing with that hand-to-hand specialization. And never mind the fact that you can upgrade them all with some cool jetpack rocket launchers. So, I haven't even gotten a chance to talk about how they can be a nice little mobile artillery unit for one round.
Yeah, I did have a sniper try to take out some of those Mandalorians, and they even have impervious. So even having Pierce on your sniper is not a guarantee that you're going to kill one of those Mandalorians, which Scott over here has been complaining all the time about how Rebels have terrible defense.
Because they do.
Well, did.
Yeah, Mandalorians have the best defense in the game. Holy crap. So yeah, it's nice and shiny, and it reflects blaster bolts. It's called Beskar, and I'm a huge fan.
Now, the Imperial Special Forces, on the other hand, I admit I kind of misplayed them. They do have Infiltrate, which seems really cool, but I have a tendency when my models have Infiltrate to put them too close to the enemy, and when you put your models too close to Mandalorians, they die.
Yeah,
except for one guy. One Imperial Special Forces model kept blocking every shot that came in at him for like 3 rounds.
Yeah, it was pretty insane. Every Mandalorian that had a gun shot it at him, and he didn't die. He eventually died to a shot from a group of standard Rebel troopers. Oh, sorry, Rebel veterans.
Yeah, but it was just him. The rest of the unit was dead a long time before.
Yep. And then later, after the other Imperial troops marched into that area, Sabine showed up with the Darksaber and just laid waste to them.
Yes, which is very thematic to how that went down. And well, not quite, because they didn't actually meet each other at this point. But that's how Sabine took care of all the other Death Watch squad. So
now, I will say it's not a total loss, me purchasing the Imperial Special Forces, because they also come with Gideon Hask and the other guy, whose name I am blanking on right now.
Yeah, I can't think of who that is either. Miko, right? Del Miko?
Del Miko,
Yeah.
Yes. Because I kept calling him Del Frisco.
That's it, yes.
But those
Frisco
guys,
County Jr.?
those guys can be added to regular core units for the Empire. And I think they're actually better that way than working with the Imperial Special Forces. Particularly with the snowtroopers. I think both of them work great with snowtroopers. At one point, I issued an order to my snowtroopers who, because they had coordinate with Gideon Hask, issued an order to my shore troopers who, because they have coordinate, issued an order to my mortar troopers. And that was pretty cool. Plus, having steady on a sniper rifle with Del Miko is pretty awesome. I didn't get a chance to do that in this game because I actually put him with some shore troopers, but I think in future games I'll put him with snow troopers as well. And jump out from behind terrain, take a sniper shot, and jump back behind terrain.
Yeah, that's a solid strategy. I do that a lot with Tauntaun riders because they have the ability to move, make a free attack, and then make another move. And so having them sort of do the little serpentine, bob and weave pattern to run out there, shoot, run back behind cover is a great plan.
So I mean, overall, are you guys happy with the purchases then?
Oh, for sure. And Derrick, while I got you on the video here, let me go grab some Mandalorian models and show you real quick the cool paint jobs I've done.
Now, I did have my Imperial Special Forces all done up in black, by which I mean I primed them in black and didn't do anything else with them. So his Mandalorians definitely look a whole lot better than my Imperial Special Forces did.
Yeah, so I decided that when I did my Clan Wren models, I would do the yellowish overcoat like they do on the box. So here's Sabine's mom. I'm hoping you can see that.
I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So she's got the yellowy undercoat and has the sand as her base. And then, of course, I spray painted all of these models with lead belcher, so the Beskar would look nice and shiny. And then here's Tristan with his jetpack effect. And I took a little bit of cotton ball.
I said cotton ball there for smoke.
And crunched it up and then glued it to the base in a formation of looking like smoke coming out of his jetpack on his flight base. And then I painted the flight base so that it would be a cascading white, then yellow, then orange, then red to look like flames jetting out of there. Cool. He's got the dynamic pose with his feet dangling as he flies through the air. Then for the non-Clan and Mandalorians, I decided to go with a bluish undercoat. And so we've got more jetpack action for one of these Mandalorian resistance members. And then also this guy with the twin pistols, he's got kind of a Jango Fett look going with his bluish undercoat. He looks a little bit like the Death Watch group that we see, rescue Din Djarin in The Mandalorian Season 1 in the flashback. And then here's the Beskar duelist with her awesome Beskar sword that she's menacing people with.
You have to take some pictures and put it up on the website. So when
I'll put it on the Facebook group as well.
Yeah. So that's cool. So yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm going to eventually be putting mine together too. Like I said, I'm going to be using them for proxies for all sorts of stuff because really you can only really play one Clan Ren anyways. So since they're unique anyways, so it's kind of like that with Sabine and then just, like I said, proxy the rest of the stuff. So very cool. So, but I know we were talking about ships, guys, and we're obviously talking about models and stuff like that. So when you guys think about designing a character or starship, or just in general, when you create something, Scott or Nathan in work, how many times do you check it before you actually send that email off with that attachment?
Oh, for me, because I work in publishing, I often will, when it comes to a article that I'm emailing to be put into print, thousands and thousands of copies, or even something I'm going to post on the internet where, yes, you can edit stuff on the fly, but you still don't want to publish it and look like a moron. I will probably check it 5 to 7 times before I send it in.
Okay. And Nathan, how much do you check your work before you send that go button? And I know you're dealing with money, so.
I create formulas that check it for me because it's all numbers. So there's a mathematically correct answer. That way I don't have to check it several times. I just make sure that this box here says 0 and hey, we're in balance.
There you go. Okay.
Now I have created some ways to do that, especially with our reconciliations, which is probably more boring accounting stuff than most people want to know. But sorry. Yeah.
Oh, what numbers, math? Well, I was told there would be no math.
Yes.
Well, there isn't any math. I do all the math up front. And just have one cell check off at the top, and I'll put conditional formatting so that the whole thing turns red if I've got something wrong.
See, I can sort of do that in my job with spell check, but as we all know, spell check is notorious for missing or changing things to the dumb way. And so I can't rely on spell check as much as Nathan can rely on the Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah. Well, and I do the same thing at my work. I mean, I probably, since it's just standard operating procedures or work instructions for a lot of people. But anyways, when I still put like a PowerPoint together presentation that's going to be in front of, some VPs or senior vice presidents, obviously I'll check it, 3 or 4 times and practice some stuff before I actually do it. So, but can you guys imagine having to go and redo your thing 700 times before getting the final? Okay.
700 times? That's insane.
700 times. So that's what took the Star Wars Rogue One's U-Wing spaceship. Had to be redesigned 700 times before it was approved.
Wow. Talk about design by committee. My gosh.
Yes. So apparently because
look enough like a U.
Apparently not. I guess because I gave them credit for this, that Star Wars spaceships are so iconic. Even the background ones, right? Or the main, I mean, obviously we know the Millennium Falcon, we know Ghost, we know the Imperial Star Destroyer, right?
Oh yeah, we talked about that in our Mandalorian tour.
And the Executor, right? I mean, those.
Of course, the X-Wing is probably the most iconic starfighter.
Yes, iconic. But we even know, I mean, I'm not saying, non-Star Wars fans are going to know what a B-Wing or A-Wing are, but those are still pretty iconic, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. It's not the Executor. It's the Executor.
Executor, whatever. It's your French accent.
Oh,
So.
Really? Yeah. Now, this is something that I remember from middle school, though, because I learned the name of that ship from the Star Wars CCG, the collectible card game.
Gotcha.
We saw it in print, so all of my middle school friends and I all pronounced it Executor, and then I didn't find out until I went on their website. A whole bunch of people posted, it's actually pronounced Executor. Like, what, like eggs? No, did not make any sense to my middle school brain. But go on. Yes, you were saying that, that Star Wars ships are very iconic, and
all the ships are very iconic. So apparently, yes, to Scott's point, they have to go through a committee of people, and they have to be going through like a fine comb. And I mean, obviously, they build it like a blueprint, right? So, but yeah, over total 781 times individual designs.
Holy cow!
So they actually had to put it more in than the actual X-wing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, back when the X-wing and the Falcon and all that stuff was being designed for movie one, Star Wars wasn't really a thing. The only person on Earth that would have cared about being that meticulous would be George Lucas himself.
Yeah.
So it didn't take nearly as many revisions for the X-wing and the Falcon and all, because they were all just kind of flying by the seat of their pants. But they did such a great job that now we have this internal monologue with ourselves as Star Wars fans, where we demand that all the spacecraft be iconic and beautiful and perfect.
And we have this weird hang up about all the good guys' ships being some letter.
Yes, they had to be named after some letter of the English alphabet, not the Arabic alphabet. What?
Yes. And then since we were talking about Halloween here, did you guys know that the stormtroopers were originally designed to look like living skeletons?
I did know that. And also, to me, this is the more fun factoid about stormtroopers. George Lucas thought it would be interesting to have all the bad guys wearing white, which, normally back that time in the 1970s and before that, the good guys wore white and the bad guys wore black. But in this case, he wanted to turn some of the tropes on their head and have the troops for the bad guys wear white. Granted, Darth Vader is still the picture of black and evil, but
I was watching a video not that long ago of somebody watching Star Wars for the first time, an adult person who somehow managed not to see Star Wars at all.
What?
It was crazy. And then the stormtroopers appeared, and she was like, "Oh, these must be the good guys. They're all wearing white. These are Luke Skywalker's troopers."
Ha! That's awesome.
Then, of course, Darth Vader steps onto the scene and just like, "Oh, never mind."
Yes.
That's great.
That's hilarious. So, but yeah, that's some fun little trivia that they've we've read up on. So I figured I'd share with in case our folks didn't know. So
well, cool. Well, that's about the end of our topics for this episode. So we want to thank our listeners for joining us on this episode, and please remember to find us on social media. Derrick, where can folks find you on the social media?
They can find me on the Facebooks at Derrick Marsh. You can find me on Twitter at HoodieDM83, as well as you mentioned earlier, on the Facebook group Star Wars What a Piece of Junk, a Star Wars podcast Facebook group.
Excellent. And Nathan, where can folks find you on social media?
You can also find me on the Book of Faces under my real name, Nathan Miracle. And you can find me on Twitter at Gooey Chewy, GOOEYCHEWIE.
And of course, you can find me on Facebook under Scott Baltman. I do write my own science fiction novels, which you can check out my author website at writegreatscott.com. And on Twitter, I am at ScotticusMax. So until next time, we want to thank you for joining us, and please hit us up on those social media feeds with your thoughts, reviews, comments, and suggestions, because whatever we can do to make this podcast more enjoyable for you, we want to do that, because you're the reason that we do this show. And please remember to always respect each other's fandom. All right, Nathan, punch it.